If you were to ask 10-year-old me what the rest of my life were to look like, I would have been overjoyed to describe my future to you, with a level of detail down to the classes I would take throughout middle and high school, the colleges I would apply to, and I could even show you the house I found, where I wanted to settle down with my family, 2 dogs, 4 ducks, a few chickens, a cow, and a fainting goat. After all, I had lived by the motto, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And failure was not an option. So living up to the expectations I set for myself as an elementary schooler, I inched closer to my goals, class by class and year by year. By the time I started high school at the public school, academics became an obsession. I put an immense pressure on myself, knowing that trying my best wasn't enough if it wasn't perfect. My greatest fear was having to look back at my younger self and tell her that I had failed to make her big dreams a reality, that all of her hard work and sacrifice had been for nothing. So I worked and I studied until I could no longer recognize myself. I began to view my worth through my achievements, as opposed to seeing my value in being a daughter of God. The first time I heard about Chesterton Academy, it was towards the end of my sophomore year. I was awestruck to hear of a school that had such an emphasis on community and the Catholic faith. I knew instantly it would be a perfect fit for my little sister. I, on the other hand, already had my plan that I had no intention of giving up on. So transferring to Chesterton was never even a consideration. During my junior year, I went on a much-needed winter retreat through my church, where I was finally able to slow down and focus on my spiritual life, which, as much as I hate to admit, often took second priority to the deadlines and exams that occupied my attention. We had a talk about discernment and how to live out the faith by following the path that God had chosen. After a few minutes, my eyes were no longer on the speaker, but they were locked on the crucifix behind her as I reflected back on the plan that I had designed for my life. The realization hit me like a bucket of ice-cold water. I had gotten as far as I could with my own plan. I was drained and overworked. I had pushed myself to my limits. With 1 year left of high school, I had the option to stay at the public school, where I knew exactly how my year would go. I would continue to overextend myself in my intensive course load that would help me achieve my goals, or I could transfer to Chesterton, where I had no idea how my year would unfold, except I knew I would be able to learn more about God and grow in relationship with Him through daily Mass and prayer, finally prioritizing my faith over my own plans for my life. For my senior year, the climax of everything I had worked towards these past 3 years, I decided to transfer schools to Chesterton Academy. And nothing, not even the never-ending list of books Mr. Delozier gave me to read over the summer, could have prepared me for everything I was about to learn. The moment I stepped into Chesterton, I was welcomed with open arms by a community of the strongest and most faith-driven women I've come to know. They saw an inherent worth in me that for so long I failed to see in myself. I started this school year with a new joy and discovery, feeling much more like a freshman than a senior. Each day in class, I'm reminded why I chose to come to Chesterton by the big glass windows, a luxury, in comparison with the gray brick walls and fluorescent lighting I knew all too well at the public school. These windows represent to me that we are learning truths that are meant to go beyond the 4 walls of the classroom. In art, we not only learn about the progression of styles and methods throughout the years, we learn how art represents the state of society as a whole, how the feelings of stress and uncertainty in times of war, or feelings of hope and progress are captured in the colors and brushstrokes in each work of art left for us to uncover. In literature, we are challenged to seek a deeper understanding of how the characters we read about represent our own relationship with God and each other, rather than superficially scanning for literary devices. At Chesterton, for the first time in my life, school is not a test to find the limits of what I can memorize and recollect. I am challenged to learn, to think, and to discover, with a mission to better know, love, and serve God. I am the happiest and most fulfilled I have ever been in my life. And each day in Mass, I lock eyes with the crucifix once again, knowing that attending Chesterton Academy was never my plan, but it was God's. Thank you.